I gave birth alone. Not because my husband was stuck in traffic, not because he was in surgery, not because his phone died. I gave birth alone because he was on a beach with another woman, and I found out while I was in labor. It started at 2:17 in the morning. A sharp pain twisted through my stomach so violently that it pulled me out of sleep. For a second, I thought it was just another false contraction. I'd been having those for days. The doctor said it was normal at 38 weeks. But this felt different. This felt real. I sat up slowly, breathing through it. The house was quiet. Too quiet. "Daniel," I whispered into the dark. No answer. Then I remembered. He wasn't home. He had left 2 days ago for what he called a mandatory leadership retreat, some last-minute company trip. He said it would only be 3 nights. He promised he'd keep his phone on in case I went into labor. He even kissed my forehead before leaving and said, "So our son had better wait for me." Another contraction hit, harder. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and called him immediately. It rang, and rang, and rang. Voicemail. I frowned. Maybe he was asleep. Maybe it was early where he was. I tried again. Voicemail. A third contraction bent me forward, and I nearly dropped the phone. "Okay," I muttered to myself. "It's fine. It's fine." I called my neighbor instead. She had offered weeks ago to drive me if anything happened while Daniel was away. And within 10 minutes, she was at my door. By the time we got to the hospital, I had called my husband 12 times. No answer. No text. No, "Are you okay?" Just silence. They wheeled me into labor and delivery and strapped monitors to my stomach. The nurse smiled warmly. "First baby?" I nodded, trying to stay calm. "Your husband on his way?" "Yes," I said automatically. But something didn't sit right in my chest when I said it. Between contractions, I checked my phone again. Still nothing. No missed calls, no messages. Instead, I saw a notification from Instagram. I almost ignored it, but it was from my best friend, Carla. "Call me. Now." Another contraction made me gasp, so I shoved the phone back onto the bed. Hours blurred, pain, breathing, the sterile smell of the hospital. Nurses told me I was progressing. At some point, during a break between contractions, I opened Carla's message. It was a screenshot. My heart stopped. There was Daniel, my husband, shirtless, and wearing sunglasses, smiling like he didn't have a pregnant wife at home. And next to him, a woman, young, beautiful, in a red bikini. Her hand was on his chest. The caption read, "Much needed escape with my favorite person." The location tag was what made my hands go cold. Maldives. Maldives. Not Chicago, not a conference center, not a hotel ballroom full of executives, a beach resort. I stared at the timestamp, 2 hours ago, while I was packing my hospital bag, while I was calling him, while I was begging him to answer. My stomach clenched again, and this time it wasn't from labor. I zoomed in on the photo. I knew her. Of course I did. Emily, his co-worker, the one he said was too young for him, the one he laughed about when I once said she seemed flirty. "You're being paranoid," he had told me. I called him again. Voicemail. Another contraction tore through me so violently that I screamed. The nurse rushed to my side. "Breathe, honey. Breathe." But I wasn't just breathing through pain anymore. I was breathing through humiliation. Because while I was in a hospital bed about to give birth to his child, he was drinking cocktails on white sand with another woman. My phone buzzed again. Another screenshot from Carla. Another photo. Sunset this time. Daniel's arm around her waist. Close. Intimate. No wedding ring on his finger. I felt something inside me shift. Something cold. Something final. The nurse asked softly, "Do you want to try calling your husband again?" I looked at the phone. At the beach. At the woman's hand on his chest. "No," I whispered. "I think I finally reached him." And another contraction hit, harder than all the rest. Labor lasted 11 hours. 11. And in those 11 hours, my husband didn't miss a single sunset. I know that because he kept posting them. Every time my contractions slowed down enough for me to breathe, I checked my phone. Not because I wanted to, but because some small, stupid part of me still hoped there was a message. Are you okay? I'm on my way. I saw your calls. There was nothing, except another beach photo. 3:08 p.m. Daniel is holding a drink with a tiny umbrella in it. 3:42 p.m. Him and Emily walking along the water. 4:15 p.m. A video of waves crashing with soft music in the background. Meanwhile, I was hooked to machines, sweating, shaking, crying. The nurse wiped my forehead. You're doing so well. And I wanted to ask her if she thought I looked stupid, because I felt stupid. I thought about all the times he had come home late from meetings, all the times he guarded his phone, all the times he told me I was hormonal when I questioned him. You're overthinking. You're pregnant. You're emotional. Another contraction hit so hard I thought my spine might split in half. And in that moment, I stopped thinking about him. I focused on my son. At 3:42 p.m., and after one final push that made me scream from somewhere deep in my chest, I heard it. A cry, loud, strong, alive. They placed him on my chest, and everything else went quiet. He was warm, tiny, perfect. His fingers curled around mine immediately, and I broke. Not because Daniel wasn't there, but because my son deserved better than this. The nurse smiled. Do you want to FaceTime your husband? FaceTime. So he could see what he chose to miss. So he could step away from a beach chair and pretend to be present? I shook my head. No. Instead, I reached for my phone. There were more notifications, more posts. This time, it wasn't just sunset. It was dinner. A private table on the sand. Candles. 2 plates. 2 glasses of wine. The caption read, "Some moments are worth disappearing for." Worth disappearing for. My hands stopped shaking. It was strange. I expected to feel rage, or heartbreak, or panic. But what I felt instead was clarity. He didn't miss the birth of our son because of bad timing. He missed it because he turned his phone off. He missed it because he boarded a plane knowing I was 38 weeks pregnant. He missed it because he chose to disappear. I looked at my baby again. His eyes were still closed. His breathing is soft against my chest. The nurse adjusted the blanket and asked gently, "What's his name?" I swallowed. Ethan. Daniel and I had picked it together, but in that moment it didn't feel like our name anymore. It felt like mine. I took a picture. Not of myself. Just Ethan. The hospital bracelet was around his wrist, the blue blanket. His tiny hand was gripping my finger. Then I tilted the camera slightly to the left, so the empty chair beside my bed was visible, the chair where his father should have been sitting. I opened our message thread. I didn't type a paragraph. I didn't ask for explanations. I didn't accuse him. I just sent the photo, and underneath it I wrote, "You missed it." That was all. 3 words. I stared at the screen. It showed delivered. Then nothing. No typing bubbles. No immediate call. No apology. Outside my hospital window, the sun started setting, and somewhere across the world I knew he was watching the same sunset from a beach. But this time, he wasn't in the picture I was thinking about. He was in the empty chair. He called 4 hours later. 4 hours. By then, the sky outside my hospital window had gone dark. The nurses had dimmed the lights. Ethan was asleep in the small bassinet beside my bed, making soft little breathing sounds that felt more comforting than anything Daniel had said to me in months. My phone started vibrating on the tray table. Daniel. I stared at his name for a long moment before answering. "Hello?" His voice came fast, panicked. "What do you mean I missed it?" Missed what? Why are you in a hospital? I didn't respond immediately. He kept talking. I just landed back at the villa. My phone was on airplane mode most of the day. I saw the picture. What's going on? Airplane mode. Of course. I looked at my son. He's here, I said quietly. Who's here? Our son, Daniel. Silence. Then his breath hitched. What? No. You weren't due yet. You said the doctor thought maybe another week. I went into labor at 2 a.m. You should have told me. I almost laughed. I called you. He didn't answer that. I didn't see it. I was in the water earlier, and then we went to dinner and... Dinner. I pictured the candles on the sand, the wine glasses. Her hand was resting near his. Where are you? I asked. There was a pause. At the resort, he admitted, voice lower now. Work retreat? I asked softly. Another silence. Why are you checking my social media while you're in labor? He snapped suddenly, like he needed something to blame. That was the moment. The exact moment something inside me closed for good. I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't even angry. I was tired. I'm not checking, I said calmly. People are sending it to me. He exhaled sharply. It's not what it looks like. It looks like you disappeared for a sunset. He didn't respond. I could hear the ocean in the background. Waves. Our laughter. Life is going on. I'll book the next flight, he said quickly. I'll be there. I'll fix this. Fix this. It was like a broken sink, like he could patch over it with flowers and apologies. You already missed it, I replied. And then I hung up. He texted nonstop after that. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking. It was stupid. Emily doesn't mean anything. I just needed space. You know how stressed I've been. I turned my phone face down. And because here's what I realized in that hospital room. A man who turns his phone off at 38 weeks pregnant doesn't need space. He's already gone. The next morning, his Instagram was wiped clean. No beach, no sunset, no dinner, deleted. As if erasing the evidence erased the choice. He sent me a photo of an airport gate. Boarding now. I didn't reply. He called mid-flight again during a layover. I'm coming, he said, voice cracking this time. Please don't shut me out. I looked at Ethan sleeping beside me, tiny chest rising and falling. I didn't shut you out, I said quietly. You shut yourself out. Another silence. Then, for the first time, he sounded afraid. What are you saying? I'm saying you missed the first breath your son ever took. His breathing grew uneven. I didn't mean to. And maybe that was the worst part. Maybe he really didn't mean to. But he did. Because intentions don't change actions. He chose the flight. And he chose airplane mode. He chose dinner. He chose her. And now he was choosing panic. By the time he landed back in the States, I had already spoken to a nurse about discharge papers. I wasn't waiting for a grand reunion. I wasn't rehearsing forgiveness. I was planning stability for my son. He texted one last message before arriving at the hospital. I'm 5 minutes away. 5 minutes. He was 5 minutes away from seeing his son, but he was already days too late. When Daniel walked into the hospital room, he looked smaller. Not physically, but like something inside him had collapsed. He was still wearing the same clothes from the airport. His hair was messy. His eyes were red, either from crying or lack of sleep. He was holding flowers, white lilies, my favorite. He stopped when he saw Ethan. The bassinet was beside my bed. Morning light was coming through the window. It was peaceful, too peaceful for the chaos he had caused. Oh my God, he whispered, and he stepped closer slowly like he was approaching something fragile. That's him? He asked. I nodded. Daniel started crying, real tears, the kind that shakes your shoulders. I can't believe I missed it. he said. I can't believe I wasn't here. I watched him carefully. He wasn't crying because I was hurt. He was crying because he realized what it cost him. He reached down and gently touched Ethan's tiny hand. I'm your dad, he whispered. And that word, dad, hit differently now. And because being a father isn't biology, it's presence. He finally looked at me. I made a mistake, he said. It didn't mean anything, I swear. It was just, I don't know. I was overwhelmed. I didn't think you'd go into labor yet. I held his gaze. You didn't think, I replied quietly. That hurt him more than yelling would have. He stepped closer to my bed. Please, don't do anything drastic. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. I'll quit my job. I'll block her. I'll do whatever you want. Whatever I want. That used to be enough. But now I knew something. If I forgave him today, every time my son had a birthday, I would remember who wasn't there for the first one. If I forgave him today, every time he traveled for work, I would picture a beach. If I forgave him today, I would teach my son that love means accepting disappearance. And I couldn't do that. I reached into the drawer beside my hospital bed, pulled out an envelope, and his name was written neatly on the front. Daniel frowned slightly. What's that? I had a lot of time to think during those 11 hours, I said. He opened it. His hands started shaking before he even finished reading. You already filed? He asked, voice barely audible. Yes. You didn't even talk to me. I looked at him calmly. You weren't reachable. That silenced him. He sank into the empty chair beside my bed, the same chair that had been empty when Ethan was born, and now he was sitting in it. But it felt symbolic. Too late. I love you, he said finally, and maybe he believed that. But love without responsibility is just a word. I hope you learn what that means one day, I replied. He stayed for an hour, held Ethan once, cried again, promised again. But something had shifted permanently. Not anger, not hatred, just clarity. The divorce was finalized months later. There was no dramatic courtroom scene, no screaming match, just paperwork, signatures. Custody agreements. He gets visitation, he pays child support, he shows up now. But he wasn't there when it mattered most, and that can't be rewritten. Today, when I look at my son, I don't think about the beach. I don't think about the posts. I don't think about the empty chair anymore. I think about strength. Because on the hardest day of my life, I didn't break. I became a mother. Alone. And that was enough.